Hey, I'm Matt. Today I want to show you how to make a three-piece mallet. This is actually the 2020 Fallen Officers Mallet in their honor. It's a very minor thing to build something out of wood when they gave everything. But I do want to do something to honor their memory, and this is one of the ways we can do that. This mallet design is totally different from last year. Last year's design had 6 pieces. It had the handle through the mallet head with a wedge, and it also had a different handle design. This one handle design is a little more ergonomic, very easy to hold, as well as only a 3-piece design, so it's a beginner woodworking project that most anyone can do. I actually make one with just a jigsaw and orbital sander, and I'll show you how to do that. For this one though, I will be using an oscillating spindle sander and some other bigger tools. You don't need those. I just want to show you that it's possible to make it multiple ways. If you want files for this, digital files or a physical template, you can check out our online store, 731woodworks.com/store. You'll find all that information there for you.
So I've got a piece of hard maple here, and total length of my mallet will probably be just a little less than 14 inches.
You can use whatever hardwood you want. I went with hard maple and cut it to length. And then I took it over back to the workbench and just tried to figure out a handle design. The co-melon handle was a little too curved. The dovetail saw was too straight, but the ice cream scoop and knife combo was perfect. So that's what I did. I just measured over, give me enough room to actually get a mallet head up top, drew a straight line, and then I just traced around the ice cream scooper. It fit well in my hand, so I don't know why. Then I just took a sliding T-bevel and made a 3-degree angle. I'm just gonna rough this out right now, so this is not imperative that it be perfect. Took it over to the bandsaw and started cutting. I know that my blade guide should be much lower. I've learned that since. And then I got it stuck. So then I took a couple of screwdrivers and basically wedged it out of there, and I was back in business. I'm just roughing this out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just wanted to get it close, and that's all I did was get it really close, except for the bottom of the mallet. It really needs to be almost exact. I took it over to the oscillating spindle sander. Oh my goodness, do I love this little machine. This thing makes it so much easier to do stuff like this where you're sanding curves or profiles. Especially when you go to sanding these finger indentions on the mallet. I'll show you later that it can be done with an orbital sander, but this makes life easier. And to sand right up to those lines like that, it's just a really nice machine to have in the shop. I switched it out for a little bit of a smaller spindle. That way I could get into that radius there where the mallet head meets the handle. If you don't have these tools, this is how I do it. This is a template that I'm going to be selling, and then you can just trace it and then use your jigsaw to cut it out. This worked fairly well. It's not as easy as a bandsaw, but you can certainly do it as proven right here. I just kind of roughed out the finger impressions a little bit. It gets kind of rough with the jigsaw, but I was able to take my orbital sander and sand those back smooth, and it come out just as good. That's roughed out with a jigsaw and a sander, either orbital and hand sanding. I still can use a little right there to get those saw marks out, but as you can see, you can actually do that with a jigsaw and orbital and hand sanding, and you don't have to have the oscillating sander or the bandsaw. Now to cut out the head of the mallet, I just cut off a piece of wingay. You use any hardwood you want, just lay the mallet up there and kind of get a rough estimate of what size I need. Give it a light sand on all these pieces before the glue up. I put in a white side 3/8 inch round over bit. You need a good sharp bit right here. And I went ahead and rounded over up to about a 1/2 inch away from the mallet head. You don't want to get too close because then you'll be able to see it when the mallet gets together. You'll be able to see that round over up underneath, and you don't want that. But a good sharp bit is imperative when you're messing with hardwoods, or it'll burn or just come out kind of crappy. This is walnut here. I actually made one out of walnut as well. Then I just kind of give it a light sanding before the glue up. If you don't have parallel clamps, you can do F-style clamps as well. I've done that before. Make sure you use plenty of glue. Don't be worried about getting too much glue. There's no such thing. Actually use the bars on these clamps to line up the bottom. That's what's imperative on this type of mallet build, or the design I've got now, is the bottom needs to be as close to flush on all 3 pieces as possible. If they're a little bit off, you can still sand it down and it'll be okay. But if it's way off, it's going to cause a major problem later. So just use something to help guide you, and then clean up any excess glue you got spilled over. Clamp those tight, let it dry for 4 to 6 hours. Once the glue's dry, just take the clamps off. I took it over to the miter saw and I started cutting it down to the size I wanted. So I cut the top first and made sure that it was nice and square, and just shim it off a little bit at a time. I'm not trying to cut a whole bunch off, and you see me feeling there, and I'm just feeling for flush. Once all three pieces are flush, I move on to the faces of the mallet. Move the miter saw to 3 degrees because I prefer a 3-degree mallet head. You can use that on whatever you want. Cut a little off each side. Then I just measured from the bottom of the face to the center of the handle until they were perfectly centered. Next, back over to the spindle sander and just hit the bottom there to flush everything up. And then I use the belt on the oscillating spindle sander to actually sand the faces flat. Now I want to find center of this mallet head and then use my center punch to dent the wood so that my drill bit will start in the center. This is a 2-inch Forstner bit, and then I just drilled on a test piece to make sure everything was going to work out, and then before I started drilling. I took it really slow because this wind gauge is really hard, and my wind drill press is a little underpowered. I just drilled a little at a time and test fit until I got the fit that I wanted. I actually wanted the coin to stick up out of the hole just a little bit so that you could actually feel it when you touched it. So the picture of the police officer holding the flag is actually protruding up. I used some soapstone. This is what you use in welding to mark metal. And I marked that, and then I just kind of bumped it with a mallet so that it left a white indentation on the wood. And then I just took one of my, these are awesome, 2 cherries chisels. That was an extremely awesome gift from someone in Germany. So I just chiseled out a section until the coin sit flat. Safety first, this is my RZ mask, just got this green one in. Now let's use the same 3/8 inch roundover bit to round over each side of the mallet head. And you can see right here where I kind of tilted the router a little bit. It wasn't holding it just exactly flush. No worries, we can clean that up with the orbital sander. Then a little hand sanding around where the mallet handle meets the other 2 heads. Then I got a 400 grit sanding block, went over the whole thing. This makes it silky smooth. Then I took a damp rag and wiped the whole thing. That actually makes the grain pop. Then back over it with a 400 grit. That'll keep it silky smooth all day long. Then this is Starbond CA glue and the challenge coin for Relentless Defender. What's striking is how many names are on this coin. In 2019, there was only 1 side with names. 2020 has 2. I didn't use any activator here, just CA glue and let it dry. Drop the coin in, try to get it straight. And then once it's dry, 10 or 15 minutes, I flipped it over and done the other side the same way. I just kind of eyeballed it to get it straight. That's Odie's oil. That's some really good finish. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested. It's what I put on all my mallets, all my trays. It goes on easy. It's kind of thick. It smells good, and it really accentuates the wood grain. Check this out. It's food safe, so it's not going to hurt your skin. It doesn't have any harmful fumes, anything like that. When you're starting to see it a little bit, when it hits that wind gauge, it's really going to make this mallet pop. You see that excess sitting on there? I let that on there for about 10 or 15 minutes and just let it soak in. Once it was soaked in, I buffed it off. If you'll notice on the top here, it kind of started soaking in, so I applied a little bit more and then buffed it off. Let's not forget about our maple mallet that we made with the jigsaw. I'm gonna shape it up with the miter saw and then do the same 3/8 inch profile with the roundover bit. I just sanded it with the orbital sander. I actually had to use a razor and a knife to get some of that glue out of that crack, and then I hand sanded the rest of it. Then I threw it in the mineral oil bath just like I would if it was a cutting board. Let it soak for an hour or so. Take it out of there and buff it up, and it just, I love the way that it's almost got a reflective property to it. I know that this doesn't do anything for families or officers, friends, and coworkers that lost their loved ones in 2020. I was a police officer for 13 years, so I know that it's a tough job and it takes its toll on your family. And then if they lost a loved one, I can't imagine the devastation that brings to them. And I just want to do something to honor their memory. So I'm gonna make this an annual thing to make a fallen officer's tribute. Both 2019 and 2020 were mallets. I think I'm gonna stick with that, but I don't know what 2021 will bring. If you see a police officer today, shake their hand, hug their neck, tell them you love them, and that you appreciate what they do. Don't forget, if you want to make mallets like these, I've got digital files for Carbide Create, SVG files, and a physical template that you can actually buy and use to make your own mallets for yourself. Just go to 731woodworks.com/store to pick up yours. If you like this mallet build, you've got to check out 2019's mallet build. That video is right there. Click that box. If you click that box, you get a big old virtual fist bump. Also, another one of my favorite builds right there. Thank you for watching.